Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm making another exciting recipe for you today. This actually is a very nostalgic recipe for me. It takes me back to my days as a chef, a waiter. I've served different roles in restaurants, and there's a restaurant in North Carolina called the Village Tavern, where we made this beautiful and delicious crab cake. So that's what I'm making for you tonight is Maryland style crab cakes. So let's get started. Maryland is famous for a few things, but there's nothing more famous in Maryland than the crabs, and specifically the blue Dungeness crabs. That's what you want to use for this recipe. If you don't have that, another crab will work, but what you need is good, fresh lump crab meat like this, right? So let's get started with first making the mixture in which we'll put the crab. For that, I have 2 eggs over here, and that's 2 large eggs. We'll drop that in our bowl. And I have some mayonnaise, and this is just regular mayonnaise, not fat-free, not egg-free, just regular good old mayonnaise. Hellmann's is a good brand, that's what I use, and I would suggest you use the same. If you don't have that, you can use another brand too, and that's absolutely fine. Alright, we got some mayo. Let's get some mustard, and for the mustard, now this is very important. You need to use Dijon mustard, not French mustard or American mustard or another variety. Dijon mustard works the best for this recipe, right? We're going to use a little bit of that, and maybe about 1 and a little bit more, about 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Then I have some finely chopped onion over here, and you want it really finely chopped like that. Okay, that requires some good knife skills. Drop that in there. I also have some celery. This is again finely chopped celery. And throw that in there as well. And some parsley. Drop in there. We're going to also add some seasoning. This is optional, you don't have to add it, but I like it. Old Bay seasoning is what you use traditionally in the crab cake. And if you don't have that, that's fine. Just use salt and pepper. I'm going to put some salt also. Be careful with the salt because your mayo, your mustard, all of these things have salt in them, right? So we'll put that, and pepper. Again, you add it to your taste. I like a lot of pepper in mine. So I'm going to maybe add about 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon worth of freshly ground black pepper. You can put pepper powder, but I just like the flavor of freshly ground. And last but not the least, I'm going to add some Worcestershire, about 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire. So let me see if I can measure that out, about a teaspoon. That's covered with stuff already. But that's okay, maybe I don't need to do that. I can just eyeball it, and there's no such thing as too much Worcestershire anyways. That's probably good. Now we have our key ingredients in there. There's a couple more things. Obviously the crab needs to go in there, but before that I'm going to give this a quick stir, get a nice even mixture going. Okay, so stir that up, and you look at the consistency. It's not too thin, not too thick. And if you have the lumps of mayonnaise, don't worry, that's all going to get mixed up very shortly. So at this stage, I'm going to add breadcrumbs or panko. That's about 1/2 cup. So we'll add that in there and continue stirring. And finally, we're going to add our hero or main ingredient, which is lump crab meat, fresh lump crab meat. I have about 1 pound, about 400 grams in there. That's what I'm going to use. When you put this in, give it a gentle toss. Don't push down hard with a spoon. So the best thing to use is a rubber spatula. That works great. All we want is to incorporate all of this together without breaking that crab down into smaller pieces. That's what it looks like. Look at that. Beautiful, chunky, lumpy crab meat with all the other excellent and tasty ingredients. We've got that mixture ready. Now, what I have here is a pan, and in this I put some oil. So I'm just going to rub that oil all over. Just any oil. You can use canola oil, olive oil, or whatever you want. And just rub that all over, just to make sure the crab cake doesn't stick. So you see my hands are so oily, that's because of oil in there. And we're going to make some crab cakes. You use about, whatever size you want. I like to make about half a cup each, which makes it a nice size crab. So that's what my crab cakes are going to look like. And you don't have to worry about the shape, the flavor is going to be there. But if you're particular, just keep kind of using, pressing the edges down so they don't break apart when you're going to fry them eventually. But the first thing that needs to happen is, these are my crab cakes. We're going to put them here and we're going to put them in the oven, or in the refrigerator. And this is what happens when you have 3 drinks and you start cooking, right? That's why you don't drink and cook, right? Stay sober. So anyway, so I have my crab cake. I'm going to make about 6 to 8 patties of this and put it in the refrigerator, and that's going to help it set a little bit. Once it's set, then we'll get to the next step. This needs to be in the fridge for at least an hour or so. Okay, I've taken my crab cakes, beautiful lump crab cakes, out of the fridge. This has been in the fridge for 1 hour, like I told you earlier, and that's very important to make sure they're set. Now, I'm going to use a cast iron pan today. I love cooking in cast iron. It's healthy for you. Doesn't have any of the toxic substances that you would see typically in a non-stick pan. So this is perfect for cooking. My oil is super duper hot right now. I have my heat on medium. So we'll just start with putting a couple of crab cakes in there. Gently, you don't want to break them. And then we want to fry these off. So I'm going to start with frying 2 at a time. Leave enough room so you can flip them around. If a little bit goes up in there, don't worry, right? So this is good. And in the meantime, this is traditionally served with a tartar sauce. So let's make a quick tartar sauce while my crab cakes are frying off in my pan. So for that, I need some mayo. And you can make as much as you want. I'm going to make about half a bowl here. My kids love this sauce. So I have, that's probably about 7 to 8 tablespoons of mayo. I'm eyeballing it. Okay, and then I'm going to put some relish in there. Now if you don't have relish, you can just use gherkins, you can use cucumber and pickle them in advance, doesn't matter. So I've got that in there. And a few drops of Worcestershire sauce. That's perfect. And then I also need some Dijon mustard. So I'm going to put about 1 level teaspoon. I think that should do it. The last couple of ingredients that go in there are salt and pepper. I'm not going to add any salt today because the mayo and the mustard both have enough salt in it. So I don't think I need any. So I'll just put some pepper. Some people add some sugar to this too. I don't in mine. I don't like that extra sweetness. So all you do is mix all this together well. And you have an excellent homemade lovely tartar sauce to go with your crab cakes. That's it. That's a homemade tartar sauce right there. Perfect, creamy, and of course yummy. So let's get back to our crab cakes. I think they're going well. And the heat's on medium right now, so this is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. What I'll do is I'll flip them over and let this other side cook off, and that should do it. Okay, I've turned them over. It's golden brown. Now the other side is going to also brown off. Now listen guys, this doesn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes at most, sometimes even less depending on how hot your oil is. So I'm almost there and ready to serve my crab cakes. So I'm going to take these out. My kids are going to devour this in a minute or less, I can guarantee you. It's probably too hot, so they may take a little longer. So that's it, Maryland style crab cakes. Absolutely wonderful, flavorful. Serve it on a sandwich, buy it served as a starter, or make a whole meal of it, as you wish, right? So thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.